guess you never get used to that unmute button, do you? Hello, everybody, and welcome to our fourth virtual business workshop in 2021. My name is Michael Casale. I'm the Commissioner of the Niagara County Department of Economic Development, and I'm going to be presenting programs and resources available to you from the Department of Economic Development and some of our economic development partners. First, before we get started and before I introduce our panelists, I'd like to thank my confidential assistant, Kathy Sinor, for all of her hard work in putting this webinar together. Thank you so much, Kathy. I'd also like to present what I think is a great group of presenters this morning for all of you. And they include Andrea Kleisig, Assistant Director of the NCIDA and my Deputy Commissioner, Deanna Alterio Brennan, who's a business advisor for the Niagara Small Business Development Center, Victoria Reynolds, Deputy Director, U.S. Small Business Administration, Lori Abinader, who is a Senior Project Manager for the Western Region of Empire State Development, Donald Jablonski, who's Director of the Niagara County Employment and Training Office and Niagara's WorkSource One, Dennis Martinez, Regional Coordinator for Business Engagement, Access VR, Tommy Tedesco, Executive Director, NFC Development Corporation in the City of Niagara Falls, Laura Wilson, Executive Director, Lumber City Development Corp, Brian Smith and/or Heather Peck, who are the President and Vice President of the Greater Lockport Development Corporation, and Thomas Tsai, who's Coordinator of Economic Development, Town of Lockport IDA. As you can see, a lot of presenters with a lot of great information for you this morning. I want to remind everybody before we get into our presentations that this particular webinar is being recorded. You'll be able to find it on our website, www.niagaracountybusiness.com, in case you miss anything or want to go back and review. And another reminder, so you won't have to go crazy taking notes. We're going to be sending you an email soon, which will contain the slide deck that you're about to see from all of our presenters. That slide deck will contain active links for you to click on to contact our presenters. We'll also be mailing you the Connections for Business publication that I'm going to be speaking of in just about a minute. And here are some of the housekeeping items before we get going. You're going to be muted throughout the presentation. If you got questions, please use the Q&A panel at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. If we cannot answer all of your questions in our allotted time, we will follow up with you afterwards and get you the information that you need. Today's workshop is designed to give you an overview of the various programs that are out there. We'd be always happy to schedule a one-on-one with any of you to discuss these programs. Just let us know in the Q&A panel, and we'll reach right back out to you. Well, let's begin our workshop. Once again, my name is Michael Casale, Commissioner, Niagara County Department of Economic Development. I administer a staff of 5 other very hard-working people who themselves administer a number of programs, some of which you're going to be hearing about momentarily. Last year, I don't have to tell all of you, the last year has been a very difficult one with the pandemic affecting many of our small businesses. So we kind of felt the need to be a clearinghouse of sorts of resources made available by local, state, federal, and other agencies designed to assist those that have been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. You're going to find these programs listed on our website. And again, there's a link in this presentation for our website. You see it there. All through the pandemic and right through today, we've been compiling information on the slew of programs that our Economic Development Alliance partners administer, as well as New York State business reopening guidelines to assist you in conducting business in a manner that's safe, not only for you, but for your staff and for your customers. The information is readily available on our website, and there again is the link. You click on that red COVID-19 button at the top of the page. You'll be hearing firsthand about many of these programs later on in this webinar. And also sign up to receive our e-newsletters. If you scroll down to the bottom of our homepage on our website, you'll see where you can sign up for that and get those emails with updates from all of our partners as well. Next slide, Kathy. Business growth and retention. The Niagara County Department of Economic Development always reaches out to businesses. We do that every year. Pre-pandemic, we were pretty much averaging about 75 companies a year that we reach out to. With the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we kind of stepped up our game a bit. Last year, we contacted 100 companies. We are on track again to get close to 100 companies that we're reaching out to. If you would like our team to meet with you, we can do that any way you'd like, in person. We can do it virtually. Let us know again in the Q&A panel, and we'll set something up as soon as possible and email you a confidential, fillable questionnaire form that you see here on this slide. This questionnaire gives us a little bit of a snapshot of your company and your company's needs, and it helps us bring together the proper resources to the table when and if we hopefully meet you in person or virtually. Next slide, Kathy. The Department of Economic Development is an official local affiliate data center under state contract with the New York State Department of Labor. We are a clearinghouse for quite a bit of data that would be valuable in your business planning process. Data includes, but it's not limited to, demographic, housing, income, educational attainment, means of transportation, et cetera, all you need to do is send us an email with your request, the request of the data you need. It's that simple. We will get right back to you. My senior planner and planning manager, Benjamin Bedell, is administering the affiliate data center. Next slide, Kathy. This is the Connections for Business publication I spoke about just a couple of minutes ago. It has a listing for each and every one of our Economic Development Alliance partners, including all the presenters that you're going to be hearing from today. It includes information on resources from economic development agencies in our county, as well as from state, federal, and local agencies, utilities, chambers, various other groups. And again, a reminder, you're all going to be receiving a copy of this Connections for Business directory following this particular webinar. So look for that in the mail. It's got some, when I say it's got great information, I mean it. We call this the Bible for economic development. We publish this thing every year. We update every year. And when I talk about any and every resource for economic development, and I mentioned utilities, utilities like National Grid. A lot of people, a lot of businesses I talk to have absolutely no clue that if they need infrastructure upgrades, the National Grid has an electric capital investment incentive program that offers grants based on the total of your project to businesses that need upgrades in their business, in their electric infrastructure. So this again, this publication will be sent to you. So be looking for that in the mail. Next slide, Kathy. Low-cost power programs. There are a number of them. The legislature in Niagara County several years ago created what we call the Empower Niagara program. It's a low-cost power program to assist small businesses that are not eligible for the New York Power Authority programs. This slide gives you the qualifying criteria, and an online application can be found on our website. Again, there's the link for that you could find the online application for. The New York Power Authority low-cost power programs are also available for you. EP and RP, expansion power and replacement power, along with Recharge New York are available. Here you see again a slide that gives you more information. You can click on any one of those links and get more information. Just a little note on the expansion and replacement power program. The minimum allocation is 100 kW, and for Recharge New York, the minimum is 20 kW. To be eligible for EP and RP, you have to be within a 30-mile radius of the Niagara Power Project in Lewiston. Recharge New York is a statewide program, so that program is offered to any and all companies throughout the state of New York. Again, there's a minimum 20 kW allocation for Recharge New York. You must apply timeline-wise now by mid-October of this year to be considered by the New York Power Authority Board of Trustees at their December meeting. And the contact for Western New York and the Finger Lakes region is Richard Smith, and we have a great relationship with Rich Smith in the New York Power Authority. So if you qualify for any of these programs, we'd like to help you along through the process and get you connected to Rich Smith as soon as possible. Next slide, Kathy. The Niagara County, as a municipality, is a member of the Energy Improvement Corporation, EIC Open Sea PACE. This is a unique financing program that channels private capital funding to industrial, commercial, and nonprofit building owners for renewable or energy efficiency upgrades. Financing from EIC approved capital providers could cover up to 100% of the project cost. You can get more information about the program, including the fillable online application, again, on our website or by clicking on that link that you see in this slide. And by the way, if you're interested in getting more details on EIC Open CPACE, the Buffalo Niagara Clean Energy Communities Program is hosting a webinar this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. If you'd like to participate in that webinar, send us a message in the Q&A box, and we will make sure that we get you a link ASAP so you can participate in that webinar. And that's pretty much my presentation. So I'm going to turn this thing over to our next presenter, and that's Andrea Kleisik, Assistant Director of the NCIDA. Andrea, take it away. You need to unmute yourself, Andrea.
Oh, is that okay? Sorry. Thank you. So to give a little background about the Niagara County IDA, authorizing legislation for the Niagara County IDA comes from the General Municipal Law, New York State, Article 18A. This legislation, as you can see, is pretty broad in terms of our abilities and the companies types of companies that we can assist and the types of projects that we can work on. Ultimately, our goal is to promote, develop, and assist businesses and the business attraction for New York State and Niagara County. Can you go on to the next slide, Kathy? Thank you. So the Niagara County IDA offers tax incentives. There are really three components to the NCIDA incentive: the real property tax abatement, also known as the pilot, the payment in lieu of tax. It's a partial real estate tax abatement for a defined period of time based on the assessment of the property. Next component is the sales tax abatement on construction materials and all the machinery, equipment, furnitures, fixtures, anything that you're putting into your building at the time of either expansion or building. And the last component is the abatement of the mortgage recording tax. We abate 0.75% of the mortgage recording tax. And that abatement is received through a filing with the state of New York. Okay. So why are tax incentives needed? I think the state has recognized, or the state has recognized, that in order to be competitive with other states, that we do need to offer incentives. They have been proven to encourage a new investment and lead to job creation in Niagara County and across the state of New York. They help make expansions financially viable for companies and help stabilize our overall tax base. Next slide, Kathy. The benefits that these tax incentives offer to the community: as I said, they help attract new investment, create construction jobs during the onset of building new properties or expansion of existing properties. They help create permanent jobs in our community. They increase the tax base, and they provide permanent long-term jobs for our community, which then have a multiplier effect for the rest of the economy. Next slide, Kathy. The types of projects that the Niagara County IDA can assist is, as I said before, pretty broad. We can work with manufacturers, warehousing, distribution, research and development, commercial, tourist destinations. That is defined, by the way, through identifying that a majority of the visitors come from outside of the area. Healthcare facilities, medical facilities, senior housing, transportation, and qualifying retail. The qualifier that the IDA uses is that is in a distressed area. Otherwise we cannot do retail. and market rate housing. We don't do private housing, and we do not participate in low-income housing. So the actual transaction for a pilot is actually a leaseback transaction. We don't actually take ownership of the property. We don't take title, that is. During the payment period, the payment in lieu of tax period, there is a specific payment made. A portion of that was for the county, the municipality, and the school district. It's based on the tax rates, and it's important to note that the company still pays the base tax on the existing property. So if, for example, if a company is doing an expansion, whatever their original tax base was will remain. The incentive would only be on the addition or the expansion. If they're building a building, the tax that was always paid on the raw land will remain the same. The incentive is only on the building, the improvement. It's only a value added incentive. And the transaction for this is that the property is actually taken off a specific tax roll and put on Section 8, which is the tax exempt tax roll. And then the IDA issues a payment to a monthly payment to the company, and they make that payment for the identified period of time of the pilot. Next slide, Kathy. These are the guidelines for our uniform tax exempt policy. We can be flexible here in Niagara County, and we have done that in the past, but overall we have, this is the scheduled period of payment for our brownfields, industrial, commercial, qualifying retail, senior housing. And you'll see on there the last column, New York State 485B, and I'll talk about that at the next slide. Kathy, you can go on to the next slide. So not all projects make sense to do an IDA tax abatement. Some of them are just a little bit too small. There is obviously, like I said, there's some fees involved. The tax savings, sometimes it doesn't make sense to pay the fees in order, because it's 1% of the total project cost. And it doesn't make sense to pay that in addition to attorney's fees. So what we would recommend for some of the smaller projects is they apply for a 485B. And you can see the chart here of the municipalities and school districts that participate in the 485B program, which is really just an application to the local assessor's office. And then you receive a partial tax abatement simply by applying through the local assessor's office. Next slide, Kathy. This is the schedule for the 485B. And next slide. Microenterprise program. The microenterprise program is run through the Niagara County IDA as well. Just recently, the county was awarded $300,000 for small and startup businesses. The qualifying businesses have 5 or fewer employees, and for grants up to $25,000. We work really closely with SBDC to administer this program. We lean heavily on them, and I think you're going to hear from Deanna next and talk about all the great work they do. But we work with them to help us qualify applicants, and they will draft a business plan for them, go through their educational components that the program requires. And once they finish those 2 portions of the program, they fill out the application, and they are then subsequently awarded a grant up to $25,000. And that is a reimbursable grant. The awardees must, in return for that money, agree to create at least 1 job that's available to a low to moderate income individual, or actually be a low to moderate income individual. That's all fleshed out through the application process. I think that's it for my part.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. Just want to remind all of our panelists too, that when I introduce you, unmute yourself. I made a big note to myself, unmute yourself. So when I introduce you, please do that. Our next presenter is Deanna Alterio Brennan, who is a business advisor with the Niagara Small Business Development Center. It's all up. It's all yours, Deanna. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to participate. So as Mike said, we are the Small Business Development Center, also known as SBDC. We are a nonprofit organization funded through the State University of New York and the Small Business Administration. Niagara County Community College is our host institution. We've been around since 1984. We not only have offices on campus, but we also have offices in Lockport, in the Bewley Building, in Niagara Falls, in the Culinary Institute, and at the Niagara County Center for Economic Development. Our confidential services are provided at no cost for every stage of your business. So whether it's startup, expansion, or even succession planning, we are here for you, and those services are all at no charge. Our staff is extremely professional and knowledgeable. And as I just mentioned, everything we do for our clients is kept confidential. So if you do in some of these slides see some promotion or pictures of our clients, it's because they've given us permission to do so. The staff also receives continual professional development, keeping us up to date on all the latest programs through local, state, and federal agencies. One of our biggest advantages is having a research network. We're the only state in the SBDC system that has this research network. They are a tremendous resource. We can turn to them if we don't have the information some of our clients are looking for, like in research and development, industry trends, customer spending habits. We turn to them, explain what our clients are looking for, and they in turn send that information to us. And we're very fortunate to have them. As the slide says, the statewide network of agents of experts, that is, we are all connected through New York State from the 22 centers across the state. Again, if we're looking for someone that we don't have information on, or some topic or a contact in a different State Department agency, we can contact our colleagues for that. And also the connection to our local resources. We are extremely fortunate to be involved with all of the individuals and agencies represented on this presentation. We have really good working relationships with them. And I think when I watched the seminar from a few months ago, if you cannot connect with either one of us, we can get you to the right people. So I hope everyone is keeping good notes on what they're seeing today. Next slide, please, Kathy. So as I said, SBDC has been around since 1984. We have worked directly with just over 18,000 businesses throughout Niagara County. We've helped them invest over $544 million and also helped them to create or maintain just over 13,000 jobs. Next slide, please. So COVID-19, I know Mike mentioned this. This has been obviously something that everyone has been enduring. I will say that the SBA kept us on our toes during this whole time and is still doing that. They've been a great resource partner for us. We have been able to assist them in providing our clients information on disaster assistance funding. We remained open throughout the whole pandemic. Obviously, we went to remote services, but we still were here and available to our clients. During the specific time and for that specific funding, we assisted just over 400 clients, and we helped 83 of them attain disaster funding. That amounted to around just over $18 million. That was from the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and other disaster funding, which I'm sure Victoria will probably get into after me. But we also saved just over 1,600 jobs. What was really important too during this time period is for us to host webinars so that our clients can get any topic they needed, whether it's how to help them pivot during this time or how to help them keep engaged with their customers. We are giving seminars throughout the whole entire process, and we still are doing that today. Next slides, please. Thank you. So what are our specialties? Obviously, disaster assistance. We had to pivot, and that's what we've been doing since the pandemic started. I mentioned before, we will talk to anyone, whether they have a business idea, they just want to have some help on, what should I do if I'm thinking about opening, a restaurant or a beauty salon or even manufacturing facility. We are very, very big on business planning and strategic planning. That is probably the majority of our work. We help our clients, whether they need this business plan just to get them organized when they're starting their business and to use it as a kind of a life document as they go through because it's ever changing. But more importantly, if they needed to achieve funding through any one of the organizations that are on this call. So we also have counselors that are certified in international trade and minority women in business enterprise certification and procurement. And we do a lot of financial and marketing analysis as well. Next slide, please. So I said this before, we are here to assist you in every stage of your business, from start to expansion, to maintaining your growth, into succession planning. SBDC is very fortunate because we get referrals from all of our statewide and stakeholders in the community, but also, excuse me, from our clients. Our clients who have come to us 25 years ago come back to us during this disaster funding, but they're always returning, and we're very grateful, and we are here for you to do that. Next slide. Thank you. So one of the other things that is important to our mission is to offer training programs. So currently we are going to be offering a 10-part entrepreneurial series that starts September 23rd, and I believe it goes through December 2nd. It will take place every Thursday evening from 6 to 9. And this is one that you can attend in person or through webinars, and you can look at our website, which is www.niagarasbdc.org for a schedule, or you can call our office at 210-2515 for information on any of these topics. The QuickBooks class begins on November 3rd, and it's a 3-part webinar series. So it's November 3rd, excuse me, 10th and 17th. And it's going to be hosted by Kelly Dawson, who is a local CPA and a certified QuickBooks instructor. You can also join our newsletter if you want. You can click on the screen and then you can get all the information. I believe we send that out weekly. Next. So I think that's all I have for today. So like I said, if you want an appointment, please call our main office. Again, 210-2515. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deanna. And I'll say this, I'd like to thank you and your staff for all you did, especially during COVID-19, when we were in the thralls of that pandemic. If you went to our website, you'd see that there was a hot link always to the SBDC for assistance if people needed help with applying for any of those SBA programs. So Deanna, thank you so much for all the efforts from you and your staff. We appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Mike.
Our next presenter is a friend, Victoria Reynolds, who's the Deputy Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration. You're up, Victoria. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I've been scribbling notes the whole time, what fantastic resources I've heard of so far. I do want to put a plug out, Mike, because that Niagara County Resource Guide is what we refer to as the Bible for Niagara County, and send as many spare copies we have out on your behalf and refer people to it all the time. And second, for Deanna, we like to say the Small Business Development Center is the SBA's gatekeeper. So thank you for everything that you've done. But basically, everyone, to let you know, the SBA is a federal agency, and our only purpose is to help small businesses start, grow, expand, and most recently recover. The most important information I'm going to give you today is right here on the slide, how to reach us. But I'll note, if you forget our phone number, call Deanna at the SBDC, and she can help you get to us. Okay, next slide. Today, I'm going to present specifically programs that focus on COVID-19 disaster recovery, although it's only a portion of what SBA does overall. SBA was instrumental in unleashing the federal resources targeting small businesses for recovery. Go ahead, next slide. An overview, there's 4 program areas that SBA stood up. First was the Paycheck Protection Program, which probably I think everyone in the entire world has heard of. okay? Because I think they all called our office looking for that information. The second is the debt relief program. The third, the EIDL program, which is a direct loan from SBA. And finally, Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. I'm going to talk a little bit about those programs today. All right, next slide. So for those of you who have been paying attention, the PPP loan program has stopped making loans. That program has ceased. And what we're doing now is in the process of forgiving the eligible indebtedness. But as an overview, for everyone that received a PPP loan, remember, it is a loan, okay? It's at 1% interest rate, payable either at 2 years or over 5 years, and has the ability to be 100% forgiven. Next slide. As I mentioned, we're currently in the process of forgiving all of those loans that are eligible. The SBA is creating a new process to expedite forgiveness, and this is targeting loans $150,000 or less for those lenders that opt into the program. So basically, small businesses have the ability to go directly to SBA to apply for that forgiveness. What we noticed is that there were quite a few lenders that were inundated with forgiveness requests. Some of our lenders did not do some prep work on the front end to create the infrastructure to support the forgiveness process. What we've done is simplify the process and created a direct avenue to SBA to create that forgiveness. Next slide. For those small businesses that ended up with a PPP loan with a lender that does not opt into the process, you have to go back to your lender and apply for that loan forgiveness. I want to urge everyone that did end up with a PPP and is getting some reluctance from their lender to pursue forgiveness, call your local SBA office. There are many different scenarios. We do have the intel, the information on what lenders are doing what. So again, if you're having a difficult time in starting your forgiveness process, call us locally. Next slide. This probably is a very good slide when we send it out. Mike, you said that they were going to have the hot links, correct? Yes. Okay. This is very important information. It gives you the link to the portal to apply for forgiveness if you're eligible, a link to a list of lenders that are participating in the program, the forgiveness hotline, and then there's a knowledge-based resource of FAQs available. Okay, next slide. I'm going to shift gears now and talk about the economic injury disaster loan. Okay, this is a direct loan through the SBA. It still is available through December 31st. It's a fantastic loan to recapture working capital for your business. The interest rate is 3.75%, okay, below market rate. The term is 30 years. Can you imagine working capital payable over 30 years? Unheard of. And for most loans, it's unsecured, okay? You just have to meet our eligibility requirements and show that you had an economic injury, a loss of working capital, basically, due to COVID-19. Next slide. The loan limit is $2 million. We just increased that cap, okay? Small businesses have access to up to $2 million per affiliated relationship. What's the calculation? You take your 2019 revenues, you subtract your 2019 cost of goods sold, and you times that by 2. That's how much of a disaster loan you would be eligible for. And it gets better. We don't require payments for any loan made this year for 18 months. It's interest only. So again, probably one of the most lenient financing tools to help your small business recover. Next slide. Now, for those small businesses that are able to secure traditional financing, but need an SBA guaranteed loan, okay, SBA is making direct payments on your behalf for 3 months, okay? until that program funding runs out. We're getting close, but it's still available. So again, you're a typical small business and you want to borrow money to purchase equipment. Your lender says, okay, but I think I'm going to get an SBA guarantee. SBA will make payments on your behalf for 3 months. Again, for the purpose of alleviating your cash flow so you can pivot and recover. Next slide. The last program area that still has funding is our Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. And this is targeting a kind of a niche for small businesses, and the list of eligible businesses are here. There is still program available, but please note, this program will stop taking applications on Friday, okay? August 20th. So if you're eligible or think you're eligible, you can contact our office or call Deanna at SBDC and see if that program might be able to help you. Again, a very generous program for replacement and fusion of working capital. Next slide. So the key takeaways is that SBA still has funding available to help your small business recover from the pandemic. We have expedited your forgiveness process on our PPP loans and just unleashed that to the wild a couple weeks ago. Okay, it's been working great. And finally, I guess Deanna already said it. If you need help restructuring, thinking it through, redeploying your business plan, we want to refer you to our resource partners. And in your market, it's the Small Business Development Center. Take advantage of their expertise to help retool your business plan. Next slide. And finally, I want to end with everyone is invited to participate in the National Small Business Week, which is September 13th through 15th. It's a virtual summit. We're going to provide you with a lot of good information about your business, pivoting, ways to market. It's a fantastic program. It's free of charge. You only have to register and commit some time during those days to benefit from the program. Okay, so that's all Victoria has from the SBA. Other than, please, I know that you have a financing need, maybe tomorrow, or a counseling need, maybe next week, or a government contracting need, maybe next year. SBA has programs designed to fit the needs of small businesses. So please contact us for more information on your individual needs. That's it for me.
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate that. And as you were speaking and giving all those accolades to the SBDC, just a quick reminder, I think Deanna mentioned it, services of the SBDC are free, doesn't cost you anything, and they are the hidden treasure. You know, in terms of if you've got that idea for a business, you got to go to them first. That's you know, my advice, and I'm sure that is everyone on this panel's advice. So again, thanks again, Victoria. Our next presenter is Lori Abinader. She is a Senior Project Manager, Western Region for Empire State Development. Lori, the floor is yours. Make sure you unmute yourself, Lori.
Good. Thank you, Michael, and good morning, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. So next slide, please. So Empire State Development, or ESD as we like to call it, is New York State's economic development agency. Our mission is to assist growing and expanding businesses for the creation of new jobs and new investment within New York State. So whether you are a startup or an established business, new to the state or established here already, we can be creative in helping your company be competitive. Next slide, please. So our workhorse program is the Excelsior Tax Credit Program. This program offers fully refundable tax credits to companies that create and retain jobs or make significant capital investments in New York. So this is a reduction of a company's New York State income tax liability. And if no taxes are owed, the credit comes back to the company as a tax refund. So in the end, it will be cash in pocket back to you. The Excelsior program is a discretionary program, and award amounts are determined through our internal review process. Many factors are considered as part of that process. We'll do a cost-benefit analysis. We'll look at the economic impact of the project will have on the region. We'll look at the number of jobs created and or retained, the amount of capital investment, and the likelihood of the project locating outside of New York, but for our assistance. Next slide, please. ESD has identified key industries that qualify for the Excelsior program and has set minimum job creation requirements for each industry. So you can see from this list of industries, it's a pretty wide variety of industries that qualify under this program. However, retail and service industries do not qualify at this time. And next to each industry, you'll see a number that is the minimum net new jobs needed to be created for each industry. As you can see, the minimum for many of those industries is 5 new jobs. And we look at the job creation period, we look at that job creation over a 5-year period. So as you can see, the industries and the job creation requirements is a pretty wide variety. Next slide. So there are a few ways to earn the tax credits for the Excelsior program. Again, the amount of the tax credit is at the discretion of ESD. However, these calculations are a general rule of thumb as to how to determine the amount of the tax credit. So the first tax credit is the jobs tax credit, and that is calculated based upon new job created in New York State, and that's 6.85% of gross wages paid for those new jobs. There's also the investment tax credit, and that is valued at 2% of qualified investments. And qualified investments include new machinery and equipment, and also investments into plant and property. And there's also the research and development tax credit. This is based upon the federal R&D credit. So we look at 50% of the federal R&D credit, and it's maxed at 6% of your total R&D expenditures within New York State. Next slide. So with this current state budget that passed back in April, there's been some additions to the Excelsior program. One of those changes is a green project tax credits. So a green project is any project that makes products or develops technologies that are primarily aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions or supports the use of clean energy. So under a green project designation, those 3 tax credits I just talked about will be enhanced. So for instance, the jobs tax credit will be increased from 6.85% to 7.5% of wages paid. To 5% for qualified investments, and the Excelsior R&D tax credit increases. So again, 50% of your federal R&D tax credit, but then it's up to 8% of your total R&D expenditures in New York State. Another addition to the Excelsior program are 2 child care tax credits. One is child care investment tax credit. The other one is the child care services tax credit. This is for companies that provide, whether it's a direct operation, sponsorship, or direct financial support of child care services for their employees. The difference between these 2 credits, the child care investment tax credit is for companies already within the Excelsior program. They're already certified in the program, and they can go back and claim this credit. And then the child care services tax credit is for companies that are applying new into the Excelsior program. Next slide. So the New York Forward Loan Fund, this was a loan program that was created at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. It is still available. There is still money left in the pot. And this is targeted, this is aimed at the state's small businesses. We're looking at small businesses with 20 or fewer full-time employees. Nonprofits can also be eligible for this program if they have an operating budget of less than $3 million. And also landlords can apply for this program if they have seen a loss of rental income during this pandemic. It is a working capital loan, and the working capital, eligible expenses include, inventory for the business, getting the business up and running or refitting the business for new social distancing guidelines, marketing your business. So again, working capital under, getting the business up and running again. So unlike PPP, this loan is not forgivable. The loan will have to be paid back over a 5-year term with interest. And it used to be that if you did receive PPP or EIDL through the SBA, you could not apply for New York Forward Loan Fund. However, that has changed. If you did receive a PPP loan of less than $50,000 or any EIDL loan amount, you can apply for the New York Forward Loan Fund. Next slide. And then this is a new program, again, created through the new state budget. So this is the Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. $800 million has been allocated to this program, and this provides grant funding to small and micro businesses, and also for-profit independent arts or cultural organizations, anybody that's been impacted by the pandemic. So to be eligible, the grant awards are calculated based upon the business's annual gross receipts from 2019 or 2020. And you need to have gross receipts between $25,000 and $50,000 a year. And the gross receipts amount determines the amount of the award of the grant, but the maximum grant amount is $50,000. And the grants can be used for a business's operating expenses, and those expenses had to be incurred between March 1st, 2020 and April 1st, 2021. And those expenses include your payroll costs, your commercial rent or mortgage payments, insurance costs for the business, utility costs, the cost of acquiring personal protection equipment for your workers and for your patrons. Even if you need to upgrade your HVAC system, that could be covered under this grant as well. So it does cover a wide variety of costs, and ESD is using a third party to administer this grant program, and they have created a website that is nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. And on that website, there is a more detailed description of eligibility for the grant. And also the application process is right there described and linked to as well. So it's a great website if you wish to learn more about this grant program. But feel free to contact me. My contact info was on the first slide. So feel free to contact me with any questions about any of these programs.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that. I want to remind everybody too that if you've got a question for any of our presenters, please place them in the Q&A panel, and Kathy Sinor will be monitoring that, and we will get to them at the end of our webinar. So next up is Donald Jablonski, Director of Niagara County Employment and Training and WorkSource One. The floor is yours, Don.
Thank you, Mike. I certainly do appreciate you having us, and we love being a continual member of these presentations as we move through this out of this pandemic, and hopefully we are moving out of the pandemic. So, but at any rate, next slide, Kath. We have been operational since COVID hit. We were out of the office for about 2 weeks, And then we started to do work remotely, and then we've been back in the office since last June, helping people connect with employers and vice versa. So a couple of the programs that I want to highlight today are first is our on-the-job training funding. And that is we will reimburse up to 75% of all startup costs for additional training for a qualified new hire. That means if you bring someone in and you need to train them, we'll pay up to 75% of their salaries up to $5,000. And that's to bridge a skills gap. If you need to find somebody and fill a position or positions right now, don't hesitate to call us because we do have funding available. And by the way, our funding is provided through the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Our summer youth program and our youth programs are provided through the Office of Child and Family Services in New York State Department of Labor. So we are free to all of the businesses. And we can assist as much as you'll allow us. The second part of our training resources is called customized training. What we can do is we can help train your workers on, so let's say a new machine or a new piece of software, and we'll pay up to 50% of the total training cost of the trainer. That's not for the trainees, it's the trainer. We'll pay up to 50% of that total training cost. So if you need to bring a machine in or if you want to expand, please remember us because we can possibly help. Next slide, Kath. We also hold weekly recruitment events in our center, which we are now open from 8:30 to 4 o'clock daily. We meet with interested candidates and we'll bring businesses in. And this week, I think we have 4 of them coming and we have either appointments set or we do even take walk-ins for these things. Companies like Home Depot and a lot of the staffing agencies do come in on a regular basis. We also do something called Professional Opportunity Developers. It's our pod group. This is a unique group where some of middle upper management, it could be engineers, or it could be any one of a number of different professions like accountants that will come in and we'll do almost like a job share or a lead share, and we'll do that every 2 weeks. There's no headhunters involved, and we've been doing it either remotely, and we're going to start doing this in person probably in September. Another thing that we will do is we will do for free, we'll post and promote job openings. We will do it in high profile locations, including our hot jobs page. We'll also go and do it in the Western New York Job Bank and the New York State Job Bank. This will translate into getting out to some of the nationals like Indeed and Glassdoor and Monster. So we will spider out to all those publications and services, and we do it for free, so you don't have to pay. Next slide, please. Additional recruitment tools. We'll review qualifications of local applicants. If you have something that you have particular in mind, we have what's called Niagara's Talent, and we have a resume bank, and we can do job matching for your specific job. We'll screen potential applicants for qualified, like I said, to meet your specifications. We'll do open interview sessions as needed to meet your staffing demands. And we'll even do pre-employment literacy or skills testing. Another thing that we recently have been given by the state is a gun violence program grant. It's something that the New York State has been looking at. And this is to go ahead and recruit kids between 18 and 24 and get them out of the environments and get them into meaningful employment. We will pay up to 90% of those salaries, up to $4,000 for them to be trained. This is not somebody that's already been justice involved, but these are people that live in a certain zip code that are looking to better themselves. So that's in the city of Niagara Falls and the city of Lockport. So we can help with that too. So we can concentrate on those zip codes. The last thing is that we have our summer youth program going right now, and it's been extended through the end of December. we can actually do kids up to 20 years old, and we can place them in businesses. So if you have an immediate need, please give us a call at 278-8108, and we'll be able to help you with any one of your needs. Excuse my voice. I've been talking a lot the last couple of days with our summer youth program, and it's kind of running out of steam right now. So I'm going to say thank you for allowing me to be part of this. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mike. Thank you.
Tea, honey, and lemon, Don, and you'll be all set. Thank you very much, Don Jablonski. I appreciate it. Next up is Dennis Martinez, Regional Coordinator for Business Engagement with Access VR. Dennis, it's all yours.
Hi, thanks. I'm glad you put me and Don together because our services and Don's services are both under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA. We happen to serve a different, maybe a more specialized population, but we do a lot of the same things. The folks that we help are people with disabilities who are interested in employment, and what we do is we help to remove those or lessen or diminish those barriers that are preventing them from being gainfully employed through basic vocational counseling, through education and training. Next slide. We do workforce preparation, workforce development. We help, as I said, people with disabilities, and we work in 8 counties of Western New York. We're a state program, and we help people get jobs in all kinds of occupations. There's a lot of misinformation about what people with disabilities can do. They can do anything that anybody else can do. We have trained people and help people to attain occupations as lawyers, as accountants, as any kind of professional you might imagine. Each year, New York State, which administers the State Education Department, in fact, administers Access VR services, places over 13,000 people in gainful employment. And of those 13,000, the Buffalo District Office, which serves 8 counties of Western New York, including Niagara, serves about 1,200 or 1,300, so usually about 10% of the state average, in finding those people who work with employment opportunities. Next slide. What do we offer businesses? We told you what we do for the people who come to us who want to work. For businesses, we can help you find good, motivated, trained, and diverse employees for just about any job you can think of. We work cooperatively with Mr. Jablonski's program in Niagara County and the alternating similar programs within all the counties in Western New York and throughout New York State. We provide financial incentives. We can help you with increasing awareness of the power and the benefit of having a diverse work source through no-cost training on disability issues. And we can work with employers to help them find opportunities for young adults entering the job market, internships, and the like. Next slide. Okay, so how do we do this? We do this with a lot of different things. We offer some New York State tax credits and federal tax credits for employers who are interested in hiring the people that we work with. Mr. Jablonski mentioned some wage reimbursement programs, including on-the-job training. Our on-the-job training is similar to his, except that ours will reimburse an employer 100% of an individual's wages over a period of up to 6 months. and there is no limit as to the amount of wages to be reimbursed. There's no upper limit. So if it's $100 an hour, you get reimbursed that was $100 an hour. Our work tryout program is similar, although the emphasis on trying a job. It's sort of an assessment kind of a thing where an individual is hired for a specific job, and the wages are reimbursed at 100% up to 3 months to determine if that individual is a good fit for that particular opportunity. If they are, that's fine. The wage reimbursement is paid. If you find that they're not a good fit, you still get the wage reimbursement. And then we could just shift into the OJT. So it's 2 programs designed to help people find the right job and help employers defray some of the costs involved in hiring. The tax credits, the WOTC is the federal tax credit, which is based upon the first year of employment. It is, I think, 40% of the first $6,000 of wages earned during the first year up to $2,400. The New York State tax credit kicks in during the second year of employment. That's called the WETC, and that is $2,100 maximum. So the total tax credit for profit-making companies could be upward to $4,500 per individual hired. Okay, next slide. We already talked about those. How nice. I was a step ahead of myself. Keep going. And that's the work tryout that we mentioned. It is up to 480 hours, which translates into 3 months at 40 hours a week. That's 100% reimbursement of gross wages. That emphasis again is on trying. Next one. And on the job training, we also mentioned that. Of course, the length of the OJT is dependent upon several factors. One is the complexity of the job. The other is how long it is expected that the training would have to occur for the person to get up to speed. We use the ONET and other kinds of resources to help determine those numbers, and we work with the employer. The other key part of an OJT is the employer needs to come up with some type of training curriculum, exactly what they're going to train this person for, and what the expectation is at the end of the training period that the person will be proficient at. It does not have to be terribly formal, but it sort of has to be in writing. And if the OJT is expected to go beyond that 6 months, then we can reimburse at the rate of 50% of the wages. Next slide. The other kind of thing that Access VR does for people with disabilities who come to us who want to start their own business is we can fund startup costs up to $11,000 for people with disabilities who are interested in becoming an entrepreneur. Our particular office, which serves again Niagara County plus 7 other counties of Western New York, is really good at this. We get a lot of people who are interested in starting their own businesses, and we get a lot of successful businesses in the long run. I can mention just a few. We helped an individual put together a business plan for a commercial kitchen in her home. We helped modify the existing building. I believe it was a bedroom. We made it into a kitchen, and she proceeded to make pastries and cookies and pies and cakes, which she sold out of her home. We had another individual who started a therapeutic hula hooping business where she would go around to a lot of different venues, corporate training, and do hula hooping. She also started making her own hula hoops. We had a gentleman last year who received a statewide award for his business where he did podcasts and video recording. We helped him with purchasing of video equipment so he could start that business. So it's, again, people with disabilities. When you think of people with disabilities, you think of people in wheelchairs or people who are doing really low-level kinds of work, and that's really not the population that we deal with. We deal with all kinds of folks who are capable of doing all kinds of jobs. Next slide, please. And here are some resource links about the various tax credits, the WOTC, the WETC, and some of the other tax credits that are available for employers who are interested in diversifying their workforce. And I think that's it, but why don't you go to the next one? Okay, I guess that is it. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask them. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. And again, that last slide that Dennis had, the resource links, just a reminder, you're going to be getting this slide deck after our webinar, and all those links are active links. So you'll be able to click on any of those. Thanks again, Dennis. Next up, we're pretty lucky that in Niagara County, we have 3 cities that have active economic and community development departments, as well as in the town of Lockport. They are the other IDA in our county, and we have a great working relationship with all of our partners in the cities and the towns. Next up to discuss the city of Niagara Falls and their resource programs is my friend Tommy Tedesco, the executive director of the NFC Development Corporation. Tommy, you're up.
Thanks, Mike. Again, thanks for having us again and putting this wonderful program on. If you have a project here in the city of Niagara Falls, whether you're a new business or an existing business, and a project that will be creating new jobs or retaining employees, please contact our office here through the City of Niagara Falls Department of Economic Development. Our contact number is up here on the slide. Also, with your project, we may be able to assist you through the NFC Development Corporation. The NFC Development Corporation is simply the City of Niagara Falls' banking and lending arm, is what the NFC Development Corporation is. There is an application process that we have. You can get the application right online, and our website is up there, niagarafallsusa.org. And also, once you're on the city's website, just go under the NFC Development page, and you will see the application for any of our financial assistance programs on that website. Also, or you could contact our office directly here. We'll be happy to set up a one-on-one. We are open. City Hall is open for visitors, of course, and we always recommend that you come in here on the Main Street side of the building now these days, and we will be happy to sit here and meet with you and learn more about your project, of course. We always recommend using our partners, and you've heard about their programs. One of them that we work closely with is, because you're going to need a business plan, is Deanna Brennan and Lynn Oswell at the Niagara County Community College Small Business Development Center. That is a great program, a great tool, great organization. We highly recommend them. And depending on the project, we will also work with our other partners, of course. Mike and Sue here with the county and the IDA, and Lori Abnader with ESD as well too. So we do work with everyone here. One of our most popular grant programs that we do have is the Micro Enterprise Grant Program here at the city. Our grant programs are dollar for dollar matching grant. Our Micro Enterprise Grant can go up to $10,000, and again, 5 employees or less. We also have a low interest loan program. You have to be in business and full business for 2 or more years of operation. Our low interest loan program can assist up to 40% of the total project cost. We have other programs and grants here as well too. So again, please feel free, reach out to our office, send us an email, come on down, call us, and we'd be happy to work with you. We look forward to working with you here in the city of Niagara Falls and assisting you with your project. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it very much.
Yep.
Travel 8 to 10 miles down the road, you come to the city of North Tonawanda, where Laura Wilson's the executive director of Lumber City Development Corp. Laura, you're up.
Thanks, Mike. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. My name is Laura Wilson. I'm the executive director of the Lumber City Development Corporation. We are the local economic development agency specific to the city of North Tonawanda. So we are geographically limited. Our goals are really to revitalize North Tonawanda through strengthening our business community, creating jobs, and promoting entrepreneurship. We have a wide range of services available to those looking to open a business in North Tonawanda. Similar to what our partners in Niagara Falls can offer, we also have a micro enterprise program. This is for businesses with 5 or fewer employees. It's a 75-25 equity requirement, 75% grant, 25% equity, and a business is eligible for up to $35,000. A new program that we are just kicking off this month is we did receive some money through the CARES Act. We are launching a small business COVID relief program. So this will be available for businesses with 25 or fewer employees that have been impacted by COVID. And we do have $50,000 available per business. In addition to some of our programs like that, we also do some low interest loans, some financing. We can help you with site selection. We can connect you to our local merchant groups through the downtown merchants, the Oliver Street merchants, and really just be your partner to make your business thrive and succeed in the city of North Tonawanda. That's it.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that very much. Now, I know that Brian and Heather, I don't know if they had an issue, but the Greater Lockport Development Corporation is also another great partner. And there you see the contact information for both Brian, the president, and Heather Beck, the VP. If you're going to be looking at starting a business or expanding a business in the city of Lockport, definitely reach out to any one of those two. The hot links are there, and Brian and Heather will be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about your project. Next slide, Kathy. And finally, our good friend Tom Tsai is next. He's the coordinator of economic development for the town of Lockport IDA. Tom, take it away.
Thanks, Mike, and I'll be brief. I don't want to hold the folks up from any Q&A session. The town of Lockport, as Mike mentioned, does operate our own industrial development agency. Somewhat unique related to that is we do and have for a number of years operate a 290-acre industrial park in the town of Lockport. It seems every day that kind of gets more and more full, but we do still have small parcels in the neighborhood of 1.5 acres, say, to 10 acres that are available. So if anyone listening today from a development perspective is in need of land as a precursor to development, you certainly can reach out to us as well. And currently, I'm not sure how long that will last, there is also an approximately 1,500 square foot existing office / light manufacturing space for lease. So if individuals that are interested in developing a light manufacturing space and don't want to take the time to find land or go through a development project, I can certainly put people in touch with the leasing agent on that particular property because it is a good property. But other than that, anyone interested in the town of Lockport, we operate like the other IDAs that have spoken this morning with pilots. We did just also complete a sales tax only exemption project, so we really can modify things as much as they need to be. But you have our contact information, both in terms of phone, my email, and our website, and we'd be happy, obviously, to support whatever project someone's interested in.
Thanks, Tom. I don't know how many people know this, but the town of Lockport IDA Park was the very first shovel-ready park in Niagara County. So, right, Tom?
Right? Yeah, very much so.
So,
Absolutely.
so you're shovel-ready if you go to the town of Lockport IDA Park. Thanks again, Tom. Okay, Kathy Sinor, you've been monitoring the Q&A panel. Are there any questions from Q&A?
There are not at this time, Mike.
All right, just a reminder, if you do have a question and you didn't want to put it in that panel, all you need to do is give us a call and we'll be more than happy to answer your question or steer you in the right direction. Again, I want to thank, our panel today. You guys were tremendous. We appreciate working with you and collaborating with you and your organizations. I want to also remind everybody that this is a free business workshop series. It's a total of 6 workshops. This is the 4th. The next one, if you're a business and you're interested in import and export, our next workshop is going to be held on October the 20th at 10 a.m. And the focus is import-export. We've got a great panel lined up for you. They include RJ Ball from Empire State Development. We'll talk about Global New York and the incentives and the resources available through that program. Rosanna Masucci from the U.S. Department of Commerce. William Kate is a cross-border attorney. He's going to be joining us, as will Dean Wood, who is the administrator of Niagara County's Foreign Trade Zone. Jim Trubitz from Mohawk Global will be talking about duty referral and import strategies. I'll tell you what, that's going to be a great program if you're interested in import and export. Again, that's October 20th at 10 a.m. And the same link that you used to sign up for this webinar can be used to sign up for the import-export October 20th webinar. Just go to that website, register today if you've got an interest. It will be more, that's free, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you again on October the 20th. Also, when you leave this session, you're going to receive a survey that'll appear in a new window on your internet browser. We would really appreciate your comments and feedback. It helps us in putting these programs together. And until next time, hopefully October 20th, thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you again.
Take care.